Shalom and good evening, brothers and sisters. Coming up here to give you another biblical date so we can understand where we're at with the Most High timeline. For our blessed Messiah, Yahusha HaMashiach, had given us instructions, O bride of the Messiah, and to the 144,000 who are in the renewed covenant that he has established for us. He has given us instructions, brothers and sisters, that we should be watching and praying. And by us watching and praying, we will know when the summer is nigh. So, therefore, in his sacred word, our Father in heaven, Yahuwah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has given us biblical dates so we can understand where we are at with the Father's timeline, as far as and also with his calendar. As you see, when we go back to the beginning, Genesis, we learn that there's a sacred calendar that the Father gave unto us so we can understand about time and the record keeping of time. And that can be found in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. For his sacred calendar is made up of three lights, which is the sun, the moon, and Maseroth, which is the Hebrew word for the 12 signs that the Gentiles, sorry y'all, forgive my tongue, that the Gentiles today call the zodiac. So what you see before you, we're going back to First Enoch, and we're going to look at Joseph B. Limpton translation of First Enoch. And as you see, this is the title cover of his book, where he says the following: the books of Enoch, the complete volume containing First Enoch, which come from the Ethiopic Book of Enoch, then Second Enoch, which come from the Savic Secrets of Enoch, and third Enoch, which come from the Hebrew Book of Enoch. The next picture I'm going to take you to is dealing with the verse we're going to look at. Now, this is like a slightly different translation, and you'll see what I mean when we get to the actual verse. For it says these are those of the stars which have transgressed the commandment of the Most High God, the Most High Yah, and are here bound until the infinite number of the days of their crimes be completed. So, what you see through the prophet Enoch in his first set of writings, we also see that there are some stars that disobeyed the commandment of Yah. So, therefore, they too will be judged for their sins, for their transgressions. Okay. The next picture we're going to go to, this picture right here, which shall be the video cover picture. And, I like going out in the evening to observe the heavens too, for it's so important to pay attention to the phases of the Father's day. As you see in the days of the Israelites, they too had watchmen that was posted throughout the night, also watching the heavens and the earth as well. So, in order to get a great understanding of what the prophets are saying about the heavens in regard to his timeline and also in regards to his calendar, for when we go back to the beginning, we learn that these lights also are used to give us signs, okay? And not just understanding about time and seasons, okay, but it's also used to give signs. And we see even the prophet, even our Messiah, even prophesies unto us about how these lights too will be giving signs unto us in the earth. One of the things that come to mind, he prophesies that how the light will be removed for these illuminating creations, letting man know that judgment is upon them from the Father. So, this is so important why we are watching to heaven. Also, another reminder that the Father has brought to my attention, I remember reading the work of Josephus, and one of the signs in heaven that he gave unto the Israelites in the southern kingdom, which was Jerusalem, or Yarushalayim. He manifests a sword in the heavens, letting them know that destruction is coming to Jerusalem, and that destruction was the desolation which occurred in 70 AD, and the Romans did just as the Babylonians did. They did burn the temple of Yah, or the tabernacle of Yah, but and also they did destroy the city. Now the Romans made sure there was like nothing that can be seen or relevant, meaning that the Messiah did prophesy that not one stone would be left unturned. So they brought it down to the ground. All right, so take this time down to pause your screen because, like I said, it is so beautiful to go out and see his creations. And one of those creations to go and look at is his heavens. So this photo cover comes from quotefancy.com. Okay. Which bring me to this. I may be sharing some copyright materials with you. uh, anyway, at least y'all got a chance to see that. So let's get this out the way for I may be sharing some copyright materials with you. And we need to get a title for this prophecy that I'm sharing with y'all. Dealing with those stars that disobeyed him. I have to give it some time. So the title of this word is, once we get to it, for the Father has blessed us with so much and give us so much insight, brothers and sisters, to help us to understand this time. So, as I had say unto you, if it's Father will, we will be looking at the 10,000 stars prophecy. Okay. So the last thing that will be coming up, not it's actually not the last because there's still some more stuff we got to go over in the Father's timeline. But looking at the mystery of Genesis 15, there was a source that the Father has brought in my path that would give us more understanding about the things that he told Abraham in Genesis 15. So that'll be another thing we will look at regarding the timeline and stuff. So what we're going to do here, I got to update my title, and I believe this will be part 6, okay, of y'all's timeline. Let me see here. Because the last thing we talked about, I'm trying to remember, what was the last thing, brothers and sisters, we talked about? It's going to come to me sooner or later. Dealing with the Father's timeline. Let me see so we can get this number properly. Okay. The last thing we talked about dealing with the Father's timeline is the 70 generation prophecy and the saints judging the angel. So that is another biblical date that we can look at. Okay. So this would be part 7. Y'all, this is so special. Because 7 is the number of sanctification and Sabbath. And it reminds me why the menorah has 7 branches and why the 7 branches represent the kingdom of represent the northern kingdom as well as the southern kingdom. And soon the two candlestick, which is the menorah, will become one. So instead of you having a total of 14 branches, now we're going back to a total of 7 branches. I think that's amazing there as well. Um, there's so much coming to my mind about 14 because we know the first week of creation is 7 days, and we're now approaching soon the end of the second week of creation, which is a total of 14 days of Yah. Also, what else I'm thinking about? We see that the Father, after Adam sinned, Father is revealing to us that this divine story has to pay out, even though our father sinned, in order for all these things to be corrected. And we seeing that he also used the number 7 to let us know that he has given us a week or a Shabbath, which is 7 days to get it right with him. He's given us that grace with him. Okay. So I think that's amazing as well when we look at these numbers. And it was one more thing. And then when you have the 7 clean animals who enter into Noah's ark, that represent sanctification, holy. Um, it just basically summarizes how everything was perfect or perfected, which means to be upright with Yah when he created everything before the fall of Adam. Okay. So 7 has a special divine meaning with our Father in heaven. Now, according to Mystery Babylon, which is America, she has public laws. And one of her public laws is to let us know that the King James Bible is the holy word of Yah. Okay. So they do recognize that is the word of God. Okay. Brothers and sisters, and you can find that in public law 97-280. And in this word, I may be sharing some copyright materials with you. So take this time down to read your screen to see what is America law in regarding with fair use of copyright materials. Okay. Now that we got that out the way, now let's get into it. We're going to First Enoch, and we're going to start with chapter 18, because there where you'll find the prophecy of the 10,000 stars. So let us begin in verse 1. I saw the storehouse of all the winds. I saw how he had adorned the whole creation with them, and the firm foundations of the earth. You want to underline the storehouse of all the winds because it's given a further explanation why he created the winds. Okay, because we look in this, and when we look in this explanation part, and forgive me, brothers and sisters, with my tongue, it says that Yahuwah saw how he had adorned the whole creation with them and the firm foundations of the earth. So the winds played a great important part. And you'll see why as we read further down. So he adorned his whole creation with the winds, or with the storehouse of all the winds. And he adorned the firm foundations of the earth with the storehouse of all the winds. It's going to explain as we read further down. Verse 2, and I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the 4 winds, which supported the earth, and the firmament of the heavens. So underline this. This verse is getting deep. So now we see what the cornerstone of the earth, and the cornerstone of the earth are the 4 winds. And that's, I'm taking a guess, y'all. I have a feeling that that's dealing with the 4 points, like your east, your south, your west, and your north. Okay. Cornerstone of the earth. Like how the Bible say the four corners of the earth, you know. So the cornerstone of the earth are your four winds, and these four winds supports the earth and the firmament of the heaven. So that's how the earth remains in its place. It is supported by the winds. That's how the heavens remain in place. It is supported by the winds. Go back to Genesis 1 because Enoch is giving us more insight about our Father's creations. Verse 3, I saw how the winds stretch out the height of the heaven. So now we see that the winds also stretch out the height of the heaven and have their stations and have their station between heaven and earth. So the wind station is between the heaven and earth, brothers and sisters. These are the pillars of heaven. So now we get an understanding about verse 1 that these winds are the pillars of heaven. Underline that. Verse 4, I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the sky. And that makes sense because when we look at the heaven, it is constantly moving, right? So we know what element that's behind that. It is the winds, okay, of heaven. Okay, so I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the sky and the sun and all the stars to their setting place. So now we understand how the sun moves and how the star moves. It moves by the wind. And as I'm meditating on wind, it reminds me of Acts 2. And it also reminds me of Genesis 2 because we can't see the wind, but we can feel the wind. We can hear the wind. And we know the Father poured his spirit upon all creations, right? And when we look at the wind is like the spirit of Yah. Okay. I'm just giving y'all an analogy so you can see the spiritual aspect of that. So now we're seeing what is supporting the firmament of the heaven and what is the pillars of heaven, which are the winds. We're also seeing that it is the winds of heaven that cause the sky to move. This is why we see the clouds moving. It's also the winds of heaven that cause the sun and all the stars to move in their places. Wow. Okay. Verse 5. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. Okay, now dealing with the earth. This what Enoch said. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above. Wow. So we see a colon here. It's going to expound what he's saying about these winds. Okay, so let me read this again. Verse 5, I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. Wow. So the paths of the angel is is occurring because of the winds. So we can really say it's like the winds carrying the angels. Okay. In the next sentence, he going to say, I saw at the end of the earth. So at the end of the earth, okay, he said, I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above. So as we look, now we be at, especially at the beach, it's like when you look for the far beyond, whatever end we see in the far beyond, we can see what? The firmament of the heavens. We can see the sky, the clouds, etc. Wow. Verse 6, and I continued south, and I saw a place which burns day and night. So he continued going towards what? The south. So he was in the south direction. And there he saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stone, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. So he goes south And he see a place that burns day and night, so it don't never stop burning. And there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones. So these mountains are made of magnificent stones. These 7 mountains. And there we go, see 7 again. And out of the 7, okay, in the south, 3 of them are towards the east, and the other 3 is towards the south. Wow. So when we add 3 plus 3, we get 6. So could the 7th one be directly on the south? But let's see. We'll see what the next verse say. Something to think about. Where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 are towards the east and 3 towards the south. Okay. Let us keep reading. No, verse 7. And as for those towards the east, so we're still talking about the mountain, they was of colored stone, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, a stone of healing. And those towards the south, they was of red stone. Okay, so let's read this again, because it's breaking it down about these mountains that was of magnificent stone, okay, that we learned in verse 6. So it says, and as for those towards the east, so the mountains that was facing towards the east, they were of colored stone, all right, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, a stone of healing. Okay, so those that was those of towards the east, they was of a colored stone, and one of them was a pearl, and one of them was of jacinth, a stone of healing. But the one that was towards the south was of a red stone. Okay, and as I'm reading this, the Father is reminding me about what he wrote in Second Enoch about dealing with creation, and you're going to learn that the darkness was red. That's a mystery behind that. And Josephus touch on it some. Okay. But anyway, we talked about that before in one of the videos on the channel, but I'm just thinking about it. Just when I hear the word red or red stone, it reminds me about the color of that darkness when there was nothing but darkness before the light came. Anyway, let us keep going. Verse 8. But the middle one, okay, now here's the 7th one, which is the middle one. But the middle one reached to heaven like the throne of Yah and was made of alabaster. Wow. Alabaster. Let me look this up. I wonder if I got any of my devices here with me. But let me see here, y'all. Let me see something. Alabaster. Let us look this up, brothers and sisters. So the one that was in the middle, that's the one that I was asking a question about earlier to get an idea what do alabaster look like. Okay. As you see, some is like a color of white, but then it can have other colors in it. Yeah, it's more like white or grayish. Kind of like a marble, right? Let me see what else we can find on it. Here we go. We go into Wikipedia. It said alabaster is a mineral and a soft rock used for carvings and as a source of plaster powder. Archaeologists, geologists, and the stone industry has different definition for the word alabaster. In archaeology, the term alabaster includes objects and artifacts made from two different minerals: the fine grain massive type of gypsum and the fine grain band type of calcite. Okay, so that probably explains why we see like different colors or like a different shade in some of the alabasters thing. Let me see here if anything else we need to look at. So yeah, it's mostly most of them we see is more like a white, but it still can have some color in it depending on the mineral type composite. Yeah, remember I was saying it was like a marble looking. So marble in its imitation. There goes some dealing with the Egyptians relic. This is a calcite alabaster perfume jar from the tomb of Tuktan Tutankhamun. Okay, and they got a date around 1323 BC. Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So now let us return back to Enoch. All right. So now we got understanding what that seventh mountain, which is the middle one, the one in the middle. So you have three facing the east, three facing the south, and then you have one in the middle. Okay. That was made up out of alabaster. So that's your seventh one that we was looking for. Okay, verse 9. And the summit of the throne was a sapphire. Okay. So the summit of the throne was a sapphire. Verse 10. And I saw a great abyss of the earth. Now take this notice. He said, I saw a great abyss of the earth. So now we go into the depths of the earth. The pillars of heavenly fire, and I saw among them fiery pillars of heaven, which were falling. And as regard both height and depth, they were immeasurable. So we can't put a number to it. So as we're looking at the height and the depth of these pillars, okay, the pillars of the heavenly fire and the fiery pillars, yeah, which are the fiery pillars, there is no number to measure their height and depth when we look at the abyss of the earth. So we're talking about the depth of the earth. Verse 12. And beyond that abyss, I saw a place which had no firmament of heaven above, and no firmly found earth beneath it. There was no water on it, and no birds. But it was a desert and a horrible place. I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains. Underline that. So this is the place that he saw 7 stars, And these stars was like a great burning mountain. Okay. So going to this place again, look back up in verse 12. So beyond the depth of the earth, okay, beyond that, he said, I saw a place which had no firmament of the heavens. So there was no heavens above. Okay. And then he also going to say there was no firmly found earth beneath it. So you didn't have no earth and no heavens. And there was no water there on it. And there was no birds. Okay. So this was like a desert. Okay. Remember, it was just, when you think of desert, you think desolate. All right. You think empty, deserted. All right. So, and he goes to say that this place was horrible. And there in this place was 7 stars that was like a great burning mountain. So the heat or the fire that comes from these stars, ooh, wow. And he compared their size to what? A mountain. Okay. Verse 14. And an angel questioned me regarding them. Okay. The angel said, this place is the end of heaven and earth. Underline that. So this desert place is the end of heaven and earth. Verse 15. This has become a prison for the stars and the hosts of heaven. So beyond the abyss of the earth, this place that's a desert that has no heavens and no earth, it the angel said that this is a prison for the stars and the hosts of heaven. And we know that the hosts of heaven is dealing with the angels. So now we see this place of captivity, which is a prison for them. And those stars are there, and those angels are there. Okay, verse 15. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of Yahuwah in the beginning of their rising. So it's giving you a time set. So in the beginning of their rising, okay, they transgressed against our Father. They didn't obey his commandment. Okay. So in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. Wow. So these lights, when we go back to Genesis, that he made, they did not come out at their proper time. And this occurred in the beginning of their rising. Okay, when they're rising up in the heavens. Wow. And he was angry with them and bound them until the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years. So they are bound in that prison, okay, until the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years. So they are bound in that prison for 10,000 years, along with those angels, okay? That's in verse 15, all right? And when we look at the verses above, verse 12, actually, you need to start reading verse 10 to understand the abyss of the earth, okay? And as you go down, verse 12 give you a description of that prison where he has those angels and 7 stars that transgress his commandments. Wow, this is deep. So when we look at the timeline, Yahuwah's timeline, so those stars are kept in captivity for 10,000 years. Okay. Now, we still going to have to look at Enoch 10 weeks prophecy. When we look at that to confirm the date with these stars, we know it has to be 10,000 years. And some would say, based on what we read in First Enoch, okay, looking at verse 15, they according to when they transgress against the Father. Let's start reading at verse 15. This had become a prison for the stars and the hosts of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of Yahuwah in the beginning of their rising. So it's telling us the time when they committed the sin. It was in the beginning of their rising when they didn't come out at their proper times that he ordained them to. Okay. I'm just going back up to make sure this does pertain to the seven stars from what we read. Yeah, it pertains to the seven stars. So the stars which roll over the fire are they which have sinned against our Father in the beginning of their rising, because they didn't come out because they did not come out their proper times. So therefore he bound them until the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years. So let's look at this two ways. I'm going to tell you which one I'm leaning towards and what I got according to the Father timeline. Most people are going to look at Genesis 1 and start on day 4 of Yah. Okay. That's what most people may do. Okay. So let's see what happens if you count that. Let's count 10,000 years. So started in day 5. I'm sorry, start in day 4 because that's when the lights was created. So day 4 is 1 day unto Yah, which is 1,000 years. So let's count from day 4. Day 4 is 1. Day 5 is 2. Day 6 is 3. Day 7, 4. Day 8, 5. Day 9, 6. Day 10, 7. Day 11, 8. Day 12, 9. Day 13, 10,000. And when we look at the events that take place in day 13, according to Enoch's 10-week prophecy, it falls in between week 7 and week 8. Okay. And in week 7, we have the apostate, okay, generation. And then following after the apostate generation, then the elect would come in. Okay. And this period of time is known as the common era, CE. All right. And it means a year in our time, or a year in the Romans' time, or you can say the Gentiles' time. Then we look at week 8, that is the week of righteousness will come in. So no longer will evil rule this earth, righteousness will conquer evil and begin to reign, according to Enoch prophecy. So when we look at these two things, and we're going to read those verses in Enoch's prophecy, this is why I feel that the stars judgment, those 7 star judgments, are not in day 13, starting from day 4. Okay. Then if some say, well, it probably started the day after. And the Father's reminded me, remember the judgment that he gave to the angels that slept with the daughters of Adam. Their punishment didn't come like right away, or them to be in prison. We learned that it had to happen somewhere in between, make sure I'm looking at this right, between week 2 to week 3 of Enoch 10-week prophecy. Okay. Because when the Israelites got back into the Holy Land, they saw the giants. And how we know there were giants, and compared to their size to the giants, they was like grasshoppers when you read the book of Numbers. So when you read the sealed book of Moses of the Northern Kingdom books, you will learn how the giants got back into the land. So the angels transgressed again after the flood before they was in prison. So the fathers reminded me that these stars' imprisonment don't mean it occurred the same day when they transgress. The Father has a reason for why he does what he does. Okay. So this is why I don't feel that 10,000 years of punishment started in day 4 when we look at the events of Enoch 10-week prophecy. Okay. So when you look at first Enoch, the angel is talking to Enoch during that time. And this is when Enoch see those stars in those prison. Okay. So I feel like it aligns up with Enoch 10-week prophecy. And I'm trying to get my cursor over. Let me see how to get that over, y'all. I got to figure it out. Okay. So let me go up. Let me just do this. Then this one way to skin a cat. There. So if some say, well, no, it didn't have to start in day 4. It could start in day 5 of Yah, right? So if it started in day 5 of Yah, we're going to end with day 14 of Yah, which is the 7th day for him in the heavens. And when we look at the events that take place between week 8 and week 9 of Enoch 10-week prophecy, we already done said that's dealing with the week of the righteous for week 8. And when we look at week 9, it's dealing with righteous judgment being revealed to the world. And we can go back and read those 2 prophetic words. And in this part, it don't really talk about the eternal judgment. Okay. But when we get to week 10, okay, where we'll see where 10,000 actually falls in, 10,000 fall in day 15 of Yah. And when we convert it to Adam, it falls in day 10 from Adam. And day 10 from Adam starts from the 9,000 first year to the 10,000 year. Okay. So looking at that, this is why I feel that this judgment will start in this time period. Because when we read week 10 of Enoch's 10-week prophecy, you'll see why. Okay. So that's the next part we're going to go to now. Now, for homework, I want you to read First Enoch chapter 91, because Enoch 10-week prophecy is split up in 2 parts. So you have to read chapter 91 to chapter 93. Okay, so this is dealing with the prophecy regarding the 8th week, the 9th week, and the 10th week. So we're going to read this chapter. Okay. So we'll go to Enoch, first Enoch chapter 91, starting at the beginning. Verse 1. And now, my son Methuselah, call to me all your brothers, and gather together to me all the sons of your mother. For the word calls me, and the Spirit is poured out on me, that I may show you everything that shall befall you forever. So this is Enoch speaking to Methuselah. Verse 2. And thereon Methuselah went and summoned to him all his brothers and assembled his relatives. And he spoke to all the children of righteousness and said, Hear, you sons of Enoch, all the words of your father, and hearken, which means what? Listen, as you should, to the voice of my mouth. For I exhort you and say to you, beloved. Verse 4. Love righteousness. Do you got hear that, brothers and sisters? Love righteousness and walk in it. And draw near to righteousness without a double heart. Okay? That means don't be lukewarm. Don't try to serve our Father and Satan. Okay? And do not associate with those of a double heart, but walk in righteousness, my sons, and it shall give you on good paths, and righteousness shall be your companion. And then I was thinking too about double-minded as well. So the translator gave James 1 and 6 to read. Okay. Verse 5. For I know that violence must increase on the earth, and a great punishment will be exalted on the earth. It shall be cut off from its roots, and its whole construction will be destroyed. So we know the first judgment was what? The flood. Okay. Verse 6. And unrighteous shall again be on the earth. Underline that. So after the flood, and it's saying unto us, unrighteous shall again be completed on the earth, and all the deeds of unrighteousness and of violence and sin shall prevail a second time. This is the time we are in now. Verse 7. And when sin and unrighteousness and blasphemy and violence and all kinds of deeds increase, and apostasy and transgression and uncleanness increase, a great chastisement shall come from heaven on all these, and the Holy Lord will come out with wrath and chastisement to execute judgment on earth. Verse 8. In those days violence shall be cut off from its roots, and the roots of unrighteousness together with deceit, and they shall be destroyed from under the heaven. Verse 9. And all the idols of the heathen shall be abandoned, and the temples burn with fire, and they shall remove them from the whole earth, and the heathen shall be cast into the judgment of fire, and shall perish in wrath and in the grievous judgment forever. Verse 10. And the righteous shall arise from their sleep, and wisdom shall arise and be given to them. And after that, the roots of unrighteousness, and those who plan violence, and those who commit blasphemy, shall be cut off, and the sinners shall be destroyed by the sword. Okay? So we know in week 8, but anyway, we'll keep reading because it's going to talk about week 8. And after this, there will be another week, the 8th, that of the righteous, and a sword will be given to it, so that the righteous judgment may be executed on those who do wrong, and the sinners will be handed over into the hands of the righteous. So this is dealing with the millennial reign, but our Messiah will reign for 1,000 years. For 8 represent y'all new beginning. Verse 13. And at its end, so at the end of the 8th week, they will acquire houses because of their righteousness, and a house will be built for the great king in glory forever. So we know that great king is Yahusha HaMashiach. Verse 14. And after this, in the 9th week, the righteous judgment will be rewarded to the whole earth, and all the deeds of the impious will vanish from the whole earth, and the earth will be written down for destruction, and all men will look to the path of unrighteous. Verse 15. And after this is the 10th week. Now, this is the one I want you to pay attention. So, we're dealing with the 10th week. In the 7th part, there will be an eternal judgment. Underline that. This is why I feel like the stars' judgment would take place in the 10th week of Enoch, 10-week prophecy. Okay? There will be an eternal judgment that will be executed on the watchers and the great eternal heaven that will spring from the midst of the angels. Verse 16. And the first heaven will vanish and pass away, and a new heaven will appear, and all the powers of heaven will shine forever, with light 7 times as bright. And after this, there will be many weeks without number forever. So that's letting us know we are in eternity, in goodness and in righteousness. And from then on, sin will never again be mentioned. Verse 18. And now I will tell you, my sons, and show you the path of righteousness and the paths of violence. I will show them to you again, that you may know what will come to pass. Okay? Before I go down, I just want to point out again, this is why I feel that the stars' judgment that disobeyed our Father commandment. Okay? This is why I feel it would happen in the 10th week of Enoch, 10-week prophecy, for it falls within that 15th day of Yah, which is the 10,000 year from Adam. Okay? So this is known as the eternal judgment. The eternal judgment is dealing with our Father, when he would judge all angel, mankind, and receive the stars as well. Okay? Verse 19. And now hearken, I'm sorry, y'all. And now hearken to me, my sons, and walk in the paths of righteousness, and walk not in the paths of violence. For all who walk in the paths of unrighteousness shall perish forevermore. Meaning that you will, some majority, okay, when you look at the event of things, some will go to what we call the pit, Sheol, hell. And then, depending on the timing of things, some will be cast into, I'm sorry, depending on the time of things, there'll be only some that will only, in other words, when they die or when they are judged. Some may not see Sheol, okay? For when they die, depending on biblical events, when our Father comes to judge all, some would be cast directly into the eternal lake of the fire, okay? Just like when the Messiah come back and reign, we know there'll be some who won't see death, all right? There'll be change in the twinkling of an eye. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, okay? So we know the Messiah has to come because he's bringing the judgment that the Father gave unto him. So once his judgments are complete in the earth and he has prepared the way for the Father to come, then our Father will come from heaven with the New Jerusalem, and he will also be doing the eternal judgment where he judges all, and that's dealing with your second resurrection. Read Revelations chapter 20. So when we go back to the timeline, now you're going to see why I put the 10,000 year for the stars to be judged, and looking at the time flow of Enoch's 10-week prophecy. Trying to get the curse to go. There we go. So looking at the time of Enoch's 10-week prophecy, I'm looking for it to fall somewhere either in the 15th day or partly in day 16, but I'm looking for it to more fall within the 15th day. And in the Father's time, according to his will, he will give us understanding what is the seventh part of the 10 weeks. Okay. He will give us understanding what is the seventh part of the 10 weeks. Okay. I don't want to speak too soon. Okay. So looking at the stars biblical date that we have on the timeline, I have the 10,000 year coming from the stars, aligning up with Enoch 10-week prophecy. That's how I did it, brothers and sisters. So that's another date giving us understanding when the eternal judgment that our Father would do in heaven. Okay. So what we just learned today, does not complete the timeline. There's still a couple more other biblical dates that I need to share with you before we summarize everything. So what we see is that we have the biblical dates give us, understanding what would take place with the eternal judgment of our Father in heaven. We have the biblical dates of when our blessed Messiah would come and reign. We have the biblical dates when he first came and reigned, when he first came as a lamb, and when the a new covenant was established. We also have biblical dates of certain biblical events, such as the flood, when Enoch was born, because that's the stuff we got to review, as well as the date of the flood, etc. So now you see why this is so important, because those who are watching and praying, one of the things that really stick out heavily unto me and what the Messiah gave unto us is that when a thief come, you won't be caught off guard. And now we see why he's saying that. For those who's keeping a record of time and understanding the feast days and holy days, how it relates to the prophecies, and then also having biblical dates for certain prophecies. For example, when we talked about Second Ezra chapter 14, dealing with the 12 parts, the 10 parts, and the half of a 10th part, when we talked about that. So as we see, it does line up to what the Father is telling us. Basically, we do not have long, brothers and sisters. We don't have long at all. Now, we are in the Gentile year, which is 2024 AD. So far, what I have when I convert that into Adam's time, which is right here, this is where we at. When I convert it into Adam's time, we are in the 7,492nd year. Okay? And when we align that up, let me see what was else down here. When we align that up, with Enoch 10-week prophecy, we see at the closing of the week 7 will all end in 7,499. Okay, so we only got 7 more years to go. But in the 8th year is when week 8 will start. So this is why the Messiah is telling us, be on your guard, for I can come at any time. Get your house in order. We can see the signs in the heaven as well in the earth taking place, letting us know that we are that blessed generation that shall see the one that would come in the name of Yahuwah. Okay? So really things are winding down. We can see how soon there will be a new world order. We can also see by AI that they have been working on placing a mark, okay, where you can only buy or sell if you have that mark. So we can see how things are lining up now. It's getting more closer than we think. Okay. Well, my brothers and sisters, I hope y'all enjoyed this prophecy and this prophetic word that pertain to the stars. For as you see, our Father do not play. He's not playing with his creations, such as the stars. He's not playing with those angels either. So, and we also see he's not going to play with man, Adam. So if you do not want to go into Sheol, which is hell, and then be cast into the eternal lake of fire, which is the second death or the eternal death. If you don't want to partake in that, you need to come in now. For our Messiah had renewed a covenant for us, restoring back unto us what we lost. And what we lost was being the son and daughters of God. That's what we lost. And what made us that son and daughter of God, or the sons and daughter of Yah, it was that holy seed that he implanted in our heart. And that holy seed is the living word, which is the promised gift, which is the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of Messiah. That's what we lost. But our blessed Messiah restored back that unto us. But as you see in the lineage of Messiah, on his mom's side, in the book of Luke, you will see that when we get down to Adam, notice what Adam is. The first Adam is known as the Son of God. And a lot of people don't understand what that really means. We was the Son of God. But when we fell, we lost our inheritance. We lost who we were. We lost that third component. For as it is written, Genesis 6:3, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for he is flesh. But there was a change with the body, with the house, with the ark. For we was that second vessel that housed the spirit of Yah. Do y'all see that? So if you want to receive the highest inheritance, that's why the Messiah talked about the King's feast. You need to come in now so you can become a part of his body. And when you become a part of his body, you now become saints. Yah's beloved. Okay? You want to be a part of that first way lobe. Because that first way lobe going to have the highest inheritance. We're going to live in his house. We're going to live in the new Jerusalem. And our way of escape is going to be taken to the wilderness, to paradise, to the third heavens. But we have to receive our garments of righteousness. And the 144 has to be prepared to join the Messiah in battle. Okay? And as for the broken branches in Romans 11, they will be grafted back in. That's your second way lobe. And they too will be provided a way of escape, for they will go into the wilderness. So they can be sanctified in order to enter to the Holy Land and to dwell in a city without walls and to be protected by the cloud by day and the fire by night. Those two ways rows, which is the first fruit of Yah, which is the wheat harvest, will not have to face the beast, y'all. That's what Revelation 12. Get the King James 6:11 and read the chapter summary and read the chapter and look at the side notes, and you will see what I'm talking about. But those who did not follow the instructions of the Messiah will have to face the beast so they can be perfected, so they can partake in what we call the Feast of Tabernacles, known as the Feast of Sukkot, and that is known as the last ingathering. So if you don't want to go through all that, come in now, receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, be baptized as the Messiah was baptized in the water and the Spirit. If you have no one to baptize you, you can baptize yourself. Exercise your faith with works, for the waters, the heavens, and the earth is the witness on your behalf, and they can testify for you unto our Father in heaven that you have entered into the covenant that our Messiah has renewed for us. And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism. If you have no apostle to give you the Holy Spirit baptism, then ask our Father in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and he shall give it unto you according to your heart, your faith, and your words. Love you all, and shalom.